story. Now, as the world concludes the Valentine's season, which was, of course, yesterday, still on, some people are still celebrating it, flower business are booming. Now, in Kenya, there is a new trend of preserved flowers. Apollo James speaks to Kendi Kamanja, who runs a preserved flower business, who credits the rise of the trend to many people wanting long-lasting flowers. Now, as well as businesses aligning themselves to the global climate action agenda to achieve sustainability. Let's take a look.
Good afternoon. On our conversation today on careers and leadership, we're talking about a very interesting sector, the floral industry. Now, the global floral industry was valued just at about $35 billion and was predicted to grow at 4.6% year by year. Yet here in Kenya, the retailers are complaining and are saying that the rate of inflation, because it went up, it affected the purchasing power of consumers. We are here to break it down by none other than Kendi Kamanja. Kendi, good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Kendi, why preserved flower business and not fresh? How did you get into it?
There are so many advantages about preserved flowers, definitely, because first of all, when you look at the wastage, fresh flowers, a lot of it. Like when you look at the flower vendors out there, at the end of the week, all those flowers they've not sold, they just dump them. You can imagine how much wastage that is. And as compared to preserving those ones, and people can have them for like 2 years. Also, when you look at the cost, initially preserved flowers are costly, but if they last you for 2 years, definitely you're gonna recover your money by 2 years, surely. By 6 months, you'll have recovered the money you'd have used if you were buying fresh flowers. I've grown with flowers and plants because my dad loved flowers. He loved gardening. So we grew up with so much beauty around us in terms of flowers and all that. So I've loved gardening for as long as I can remember.
Please explain to us the process of preparation until the final product is ready for the market.
First of all, you have to identify a good supplier of fresh flowers. So we prefer people who do flowers for export, because then the flower has to be at its peak beauty and at its peak radiance. It has to be at the right size and at the right time of it when it's at its maximum peak of beauty.
Okay. That's
when we preserve it, because it maintains that shape for the rest of its life. Because when you buy the flowers that have not opened, you put them in water, eventually they open up. Yeah, so for preserved, you get when it's already open at its peak, then that's when you preserve it.
Okay.
Yeah, so after you identify the supplier, get the export quality, then you put, we use a chemical for draining the water content, the pigmentation, the proteins, the sugars in the flower. And then we rehydrate the flower again using chemicals. So it sucks through it absorbs through the trunk until it replaces all the sap that was in the flower. So the flower takes shape now from the chemical that you're using, which is non-corrosive and non-toxic. Mostly the chemicals that are even used in food preservation, so they're not toxic. So the flower now retains its shape because we've replaced the water content and the rest of the materials with chemical. So it looks alive. It's like you've just picked from your garden and you've given someone. So yeah, it's through chemical process that makes it now stay and look alive for the rest of its life, yes. So this one, these are stems. And this is the solidago. So I have roses.
Yeah.
This is a rose.
Yeah.
This is solidago.
Yeah.
And this is gypsum. The process of preserving the roses and the foliage is very different. So what I was explaining is how to preserve the roses. Now, when it comes to foliage, this one is done through we call it planting. So you mix the chemicals in a container and then put it there for it to be absorbed for about 5 days. Yes, then it stays like this for 2 years. This one has been like, I made this about 1.5 years ago, and this has been in my house, and it's still looking like this, as good as fresh. Yes.
How do you get most of your customers, and how do you retain them?
When I started doing this business, so first, of course, you do it through social media. Then maybe people who know you would want to see what is this that you're selling, because at least they can trust you because they know you. So they're like, okay, Kendi, that sounds very interesting. Can you bring me a sample? I see how they look like, because from the photos they look too good to be true. Yeah. Someone was saying, are you sure these are fresh or they're plastic? I'm like, seeing is believing. Let me bring them to you for you to see. So from those first initial sales, then I start getting now referrals from the people who already bought it. Yeah, and when people see them live, definitely they're like, okay, you have something here.
How much do you charge?
It depends on how elastic your pocket is. So this one, so it's about 7,500. The maintenance of preserved flowers is very low. Preserved flowers don't need water. So no water, no humidity, no moisture. If that happens, they get molds. So how to maintain these flowers? It's just dusting, that's it. For the next 2 years, nothing else that you need to do. Also, don't keep it under direct sunlight, because then the color fades. Yeah, that's it.
And could you please define the qualities that can make someone be successful as a business leader in this floral industry?
Yeah, you have to know what's happening in the market. You have to be passionate about the business you're doing, because you can imagine going to do this every day of your life. Sometime there are no event sales, so there has to be something pushing you to keep doing, to ride off this wave of business not doing well. And then you have to be hardworking. You have to be good with people, because this is your business. You're the one to do the sales initially. So you have to approach customers, and you have to know your product. What are you selling? Yes.
What's your take about the floral industry in Kenya? Do we have the potential of taking it to be the main source of, export revenue here in Kenya?
Yes, I believe so, because especially if we combine the fresh flower business and the preserved flower business, it has potential to make it a very good export product. I've been exploring the export market, and the statistics are good. There's a lot of potential.
There's this quote I got from the internet that says, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. What is your vision with this dream?
Eventually, I want, when you think about flower, whoever is talking about flower, what comes to your mind is Kendi petals. Yes.
So Oprah Winfrey said that it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from.
Yes.
The ability to triumph begins with you always. And I'm bringing Oprah because she's a big fan of flowers. What message of advice would you give to aspiring business leaders on how they can apply this?
So many of us have dreams. You have these big ideas. When you sleep, you're just thinking about them. But then you forget to wake up and actualize those dreams, because you've created all these obstacles in your head that I need to have this amount of capital. I need to have God knows what for you to succeed in your business. But all you need is just faith in yourself and take that first step. It doesn't matter how small it is, and build slowly by slowly.
What would be your advice to young people watching you this afternoon?
Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Because I was very shy and I was very doubtful about myself, or even wanting to talk to a stranger. And I thought, how will I approach people when I have doubts about myself? But I took the first step and I said, I cannot progress without confronting my fears and the doubts. So doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will.